So we are now with the Forest, a space artist. I love this name, Forest. And I'm interested to know, Forest, you're coming from the Planet, which is a startup of satellite in San Francisco, and you are the artist in residence program manager inside the company. The number 25 employee in the company was you.
Correct.
What is the role of you as an artist inside a technology company?
My role primarily was to come in and put art on spaceships. We are a spaceship manufacturing company, and now we focus on Earth imagery from space using those satellites. So I asked the founder, said, hey, can I paint on your satellites? And instead of saying no, he said yes. And then that's when I really had to show up with my artwork. So my role there is to make artwork that is visually stunning. I'm a trained artist, I make stunning work. But more importantly, my role at Planet is to make art and pull in the community with this art and create a common conversation of how can I make work that inspires you, and how can you share your science, your technology, your entrepreneurship, your marketing prowess, your adventure into this entrepreneurial spectrum. How can you share that with me and we can get more creative together? Because I see things differently than the entrepreneur. But I also see things similarly because I've spent my whole career figuring out how to sell my work, how to create my own market, and more importantly, how to make an interesting story to get other people involved. My role is to be a creative rabble-rouser, to be kind of a troublemaker and stir it up. I don't have to adhere to this all the time. My aerospace tie, my short hair, I don't have to do this all the time. I can also be playful. I came from a graffiti background, from a fine art background, and then I got educated in art. I brought all of that to this. But if I wasn't with an aerospace company, I would be doing this with someone else, because I love to work with passionate people, and I love to spark and give permission to the passion in others so we can work together.
Great, so you mentioned that you give kind of a permission. Can you give me an example how you do it in the company? How you bring the engineers, the scientists, the space engineer actually to engage with your art?
Yeah.
With art in general.
Well, first off, the first thing that I did when I was going to do art for spaceships, these spaceships are small, right? They're as wide as your shoulders, and now they're bigger. When you turn them, they get bigger. So they are small in comparison to bus-sized satellites that we're used to, car-sized satellites. These satellites we can pick up. And so I knew that if I was going to do art the size of these side panels, no one would see it, because everyone would come and look over my shoulder and be like, what is he doing? What's he drawing on? So I made huge pieces that, from my fine art background, I knew would be visually stunning from across the room. I wanted the CEO to watch me making artwork. I wanted the person that came in to sweep at night to come watch me make artwork. I wanted it to be an entertaining scenario. I wanted to change the space of the culture. By making big pieces and then shrinking them down to fit the context, it gave an entertainment factor and made people want to be thirsty and curious about the situation. Now, I did that in the first 4 months. I've been there for 4 years now. I've had 11 artists in residence. It's now my job to I also create the artwork all the time. I make great artwork there, I try to. Sometimes I totally fail, and that's fun too. But my role now is to work with an artist. Artists over here making paintings about space, about looking at nebulas, about this grandiose idea. If they were just making art on their own, everyone would say, wow, I'm like watching the TV. But they tell me, hey, I want to know what it's like to look at space with this technology. I want to know what it's like to create the technology, to look through a telescope like the Hubble. I grab that scientist or that team and say, we're going to have lunch together. This artist needs to know about you. You need to know about their vision. Let's see how we are universal and how we're totally different. And let's go eat tacos. We break it down to that, let's break bread. Let's get comfortable together. Let's do something that we all do. And then we talk about our thing, and then the scientists help the artists help the scientists. Sometimes I have artists that are totally interested in building the brand and the marketing of it. Sometimes not. Sometimes they're conceptual, and all they want to do is make people play. So the bigger picture here is getting people involved, and I am that.
So, you know, most of the company cannot draw on rockets, on satellites. Not everyone is lucky as you.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What you will recommend for a manager that now listen to us to foster creative thinking in her or his company?
Well, the manager needs to ask themselves, do I want to innovate? Do you think they'd say yes?
I would assume so, yeah.
And if they say, I need to innovate, I want to innovate, they need to realize and be humble that they may not have all the answers. So they need to look at the market, they need to look at their audience, they need to look at their intention of what they make versus what the audience wants. And then they need to say, how can I creatively get from here to there? There's a lot of avenues to get from here to there, selling anything from widgets to spaceships, right? But in order to get creative with that, they have to make a more dynamic, diverse conversation. There's a lot of diversity talk happening right now, especially in the Silicon Valley, of let's bring in people from all backgrounds, which is amazing. And bringing people from all backgrounds doesn't just mean color. It means education, it means upbringing, it means experience, it means street smarts versus highly educated people from Yale. Like, it's all about mixing and creating a much more rich conversation that therefore the person with experience over here and this person over here can inspire the whole team to think differently. I mean, Steve Jobs said it, but it had been said before. Like, let's make a rich conversation and push it further. The CEOs can't do it themselves. They have the original idea. The founders may have put together a good idea and gotten some, seed funding, but they had to bring a team of like-minded folks. They had to be the artists, really. They had to really make the thing together. They were the first artists in residence because they made magic happen. I'm just helping facilitate that continually. I was the 25th person at the company. You're right. Now we have 500 people, and I still do the same thing. I still make artwork. I still facilitate artwork. I still do weird stuff, abstract stuff. Some people say it's totally not necessary, and other people say that they wanted to get hired there because of the artwork, not because of the science. So, we create an experience, and I would urge every manager to give permission to create a creative experience.
Foster, thank you very much for coming to Madrid and for giving me this nice NASA pin over here. And thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Come here. Thank you.